Hey, welcome back, everybody. We continue our coverage of Utah's U.S. Senate race by talking one-on-one with the candidates. It's a continuing series here. And today, Carolyn Phippen joins us for a conversation on inside Utah politics. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me, Brian. I appreciate it.
We're glad you're here. Look, you have experience in politics. You worked with Senator Mike Lee. You've worked on campaigns. You've advised campaigns. So you are no stranger to politics. I wonder why you want to jump into the fray and actually take office.
Yeah. So I got to tell you, it's not a huge desire of mine. Here's what it comes down to. There are difficult things that need to be done at this point in time. I would so much rather, I'll tell you, last year I built a greenhouse and bought chickens because I don't trust the Biden economy, by the way.
It's a very pandemic thing to do, by the way, but yeah.
This is true. I would rather be living my life with my family and in my garden and having my nice job that I just left in order to run. But it is a time, I think, in our nation's history where we need good people to do hard things. And this, to me, is a better thing and an easier thing than watch everything that has been built over the generations in this nation crumble as a result of elitist politicians who make decisions in such a way that we are all impacted. We are $34.5 trillion in debt. I will tell you, when I first entered this race, we were about $32 trillion in debt. And that was in November of last year, right? We have a southern border that is being completely overrun. I spoke with federal agents here in Salt Lake just the end of last year, and they told me that we have Venezuelan gangs all the way from St. George up to Logan.
Well, let me ask you about that. Let me ask you about immigration. It's such an important issue. We know that about 2 million people have been apprehended on the border last year, the year before that, 1.7 million the year before that. That's from Customs and Border Protection, their latest numbers. So if you were sitting in the Senate today, conversing with your colleagues, what would you do? What would you propose to secure that border?
Yeah, here's the thing. All of the laws are in place. We have an executive branch that has one job, right? The president and his people have one job, and that is to enforce the law. They are refusing. I was down at the border a year ago, and border agents told me and the people I was with at the time that 90% of their time, and by the way, this is a completely separate issue from immigration itself, right? I have a son who's lived in Japan for years, and, you know, I could have a daughter-in-law at some point who is not a citizen of the United States of America. We will have to jump through, she will have to jump through massive hoops to come here and stay here legally and become a U.S. citizen if she were to choose to do that.
It could take 10 years to go through that. Right. The legal way to do it could take a decade.
And in some countries, like India, it's upwards of 15 years. Yet, if you choose to come in illegally across the southern border, you're here, and we're dealing with the impacts of that. The estimated costs are anywhere from $500 billion, that's $500 billion, and I've heard some numbers up to $1.5 trillion, potentially, in taking care of these illegal immigrants who come here. The president and his people have all the authority they need to shut down the border. Congress has one thing that they can do. They have the power of the purse. And the people who we have had in Congress who have refused to hold this president accountable to do his one duty, right? This is so fundamental. Not only is it about protecting, about doing his job, but it's about protecting this nation. The physical protection of this nation is the most basic thing that a president or the leaders we elect can deal with.
So how would you enforce along the border and secure it? Are you supporting of building the wall, finishing that wall we've heard so much about from the Trump administration, or would you take a different approach to securing the border?
No, I'll tell you, and every border agent will tell you this as well, that we need a wall in addition to everything else. We need a wall. We need, here's one big reason we need a wall. Right now, 90% of the time of border agents is spent meeting the humanitarian needs of the people who are coming across that border. And by the way, numbers show that upwards of 60% of women and children have been abused, raped, and/or trafficked. It's all one and the same in that journey up to the border. We have cartels that are absolutely being enriched. And I had border agents down there tell me that there is an army being built on the southern border. And it is being done by the cartels with all of the additional money that they're making, not only from drugs now, but from the massive waves of human trafficking. So we have to shut down and secure the border. We are incentivizing immoral behavior that is destroying the lives of women and children, and it is absolutely untenable. We have to stop it. Congress, so number one, if we can build that wall, then those agents can be spending their time monitoring and dealing with those areas where a wall can't be built, in addition to electronic surveillance and drones and all these other things. But right now, there are so many areas that are open that it's easy. In fact, a couple of agents told me that this is absolutely a strategy of the cartels, and that is you distract with big groups of women and children who need a whole lot of attention, and we know that's not the majority of the people coming across the border, by the way. It is not women and children. And then you have a wide open border because so many agents, they're humans, right? When you see humans suffering, you address it when you're there and have the capability and ability to do that. So they're doing that. Meanwhile, drugs, we know fentanyl, we have 100,000 deaths a year in this country. I guarantee that number's going up. It's being run across the border in those open areas where nobody is now patrolling.
And I will say Pew Research has said that a lot of the fentanyl and drugs are coming across through the ports of entry. They're being still hidden in cars, hidden in trucks, hidden in buses. How do you address that part of the equation?
Yeah. Here's the thing. We have a completely overburdened system, right? The border agents, whether it is ICE, whether it's Homeland Security, they are completely overburdened because they're spending their time, again, 90% of their time meeting the humanitarian needs. I also have been told by agents here in Utah that additional agents from all over the country are being sent down to the border with six-figure salaries, by the way, to make sandwiches and change diapers. Is that what we've hired these people to do? This is because the behavior taking place at the border is being incentivized by our refusal and our president's refusal, by the way, President Biden, to close down the border, to apply the law as it is written, which is that these people are not to be released while seeking asylum. That's a strategy. Most of them historically have not actually met the definition of asylum, and the numbers are only going up now.
And we know the judges who adjudicate these cases are overwhelmed. We don't have a lot of them. And we could talk about immigration all day, and I'd love to, but only a couple minutes left, and I want to ask you about this. Affordable housing in Utah, it's a crisis here. This is one of the most expensive housing markets in all the country now. It didn't used to be that way just a few years ago. I want to know, what do you think the federal government's role could be in helping Utah, in helping the people of Utah afford homes and be able to afford to live in this beautiful place we call home?
Yeah, I will tell you, the more the government sticks their hands in formerly free markets, the more expensive everything becomes. So I'm not interested in the federal government doing anything except for giving us back the 67% of our lands that they hold and control.
Maybe building housing on public lands. That's the conversation that we're hearing about right now across the country.
I say right now, the state legislature 7 or 8 years ago put money aside to fund a lawsuit for the state against the federal government. The thinking is that it could go directly to the Supreme Court to overturn the law that locks up those lands. It's a law passed in 1976 called FLIPMA. You get rid of that and allow the disposal of those lands, which is what the federal government agreed to at the formation of this state. If you get rid of that, we can start developing on lands that are currently held by the federal government. It is a win-win for everybody because we have large swaths of land that are completely unusable and are just sitting.
We got to leave it there, but I know we could talk all day. We're going to push people to your website if they want to learn more about your policy positions on our website, abc4.com. Carolyn Phippen, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
We do appreciate the conversation. Yes, we will.